Well, thank you so much, Nigel. It is really great to be here. It's a beautiful new retail establishment here in the neighborhood, and an exciting beginning to a new phase in our cannabis industry in Illinois. Good morning to everyone. I'm really delighted to be here in Bucktown celebrating the first of almost 200 social equity businesses that are expected to open in the year ahead. Behind its glass doors, its neon signs, and its welcoming atmosphere, Ivy Hall has a story that is as Illinois as it gets. It's a story rooted in family. This dispensary is here today thanks to a powerhouse father-son duo, John and Nigel Dandridge, alongside their co-owners, David Berger, Simon Berger, and Catherine Skolars, another Illinois family. John and Nigel have been working day in and day out to open a dispensary that is as diverse and representative as the community that it serves. As we've promised from day one, Illinois has the most accessible and equitable cannabis industry in the nation, even with its hiccups or legal obstacles. And as the first of 192 social equity licensees to launch, Ivy Hall is paving the way for even more success in this new industry. And as other licensees across the cannabis industry are hard at work, we recently introduced a program offering direct forgivable loans to make it easier for all of our conditionally approved social equity loan applicants to get the capital that they need to open their business. Equity in ownership is just one small piece of how we built equity into the entire cannabis program. With just 1 month to go in 2022, our cannabis sales have totaled more than $1.4 billion this year alone, with 25% of tax revenues going directly to the R3 program to restore, reinvest, and renew neighborhoods that have been impacted negatively by economic disinvestment, violence, and the war on drugs. That's more than $144 million going back into the communities that need it most, and hundreds of organizations that push us forward as a state, from the Illinois Prison Project to the Westside Justice Center to a Safe Haven Foundation. A focus on equity guided us as we expunged over 800,000 low-level marijuana possession charges, creating new opportunity for tens of thousands of Illinoisans, mostly people of color, to get a job or rent an apartment that they were previously denied because of their record. And just weeks ago, the city of Chicago, the Discovery Partners Institute, and state government together announced the launch of the Cannabis Research Institute, a first-of-its-kind center in the Midwest that will further boost Illinois' global standing as a hub for cutting-edge research. It's a center focused on both the scientific elements of cannabis and the cultural and equity impacts of cannabis production and use. This is just the beginning. We will continue to give our industry leaders the resources that they need to grow, both figuratively and literally, in turn solidifying Illinois as a national and international leader in the cannabis industry. So I want to thank Alderman Scott Waguespack for joining us today as we celebrate his constituents, John and Nigel's groundbreaking opening. And I couldn't be happier to stand here alongside Illinois' new Cannabis Regulatory Oversight Officer, Erin Johnson. Erin, you have the experience, education, and expertise necessary to thrive in this role, and I can't wait to see all that you will do to continue advancing cannabis equity throughout our state. With that, it's my pleasure to turn the podium over to Erin Johnson.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. I'd first obviously like to thank the governor and his staff for allowing me the opportunity to serve in this role. I'd also like to thank Secretary Mario Tredo, Deputy Secretary Paul Isaac, and the crew team for their support during this transition. Illinois is the national leader in bringing social equity to the cannabis industry. And while it is never easy to be the first, we are doing all that we can to ensure we get it right. It is also important to remember that because Illinois is doing something that has literally never been done before, we are running a marathon, not a sprint. To that end, as the governor said, we have issued all 192 conditional social equity licenses, and 3 of our licensees are now fully licensed. We anticipate the rest of our conditional licensees will become fully licensed in the coming months. As of November 30th, gross adult use cannabis sales have increased by more than 13% year over year. Year-to-date total cannabis sales, which does include medical cannabis, have exceeded $1.7 billion. These sales have allowed us to invest $113 million in cannabis revenue back into communities that have been most impacted by the war on drugs. Creating systemic change is never easy, but together we will continue building a cannabis industry driven by social equity to right generations worth of wrongs. And now I'd like to introduce Alderman Wagesbeck.